Okay, so let's do the box office top 10 at 21, The Super 8 Years.
Which I thought was okay. I didn't think it was quite as good as people who love it do. It is essentially a construction of narrative through Super 8 film with voiceover, and I thought the voiceover was doing an awful lot of heavy lifting. But I do know people who have enjoyed it. Not so much me.
Number 10 is The Boogeyman, which has been hanging around quite well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's done well. I still think that it's a very solid mainstream movie. I prefer it when this director who you spoke to, you can still hear the thing on a previous pod, is allowed to do something slightly more off the wall. But it's done good, solid mainstream business.
Fast 10 is at 9.
So this must be now in its kind of final week, probably in the top 10. But it has done astronomically well. One of the most expensive movies ever made. I was just looking at the adjusted for inflation list recently, and it's up there in the top end of movies. We still have more to come. That's the thing, is that the story hasn't finished yet.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is at number 8.
Surprising how well it's done considering how dark it is.
Greatest Days at 7.
Which you have now officially reassessed.
Yes, on the basis that it all kind of clicked into place in the final lap.
And I should flag up that on take 2 we'll be reviewing, because obviously the Greatest Days is it's not Take That, but it is Take That, but it's not Take That, but it is Take That. And in take 2 we'll be reviewing the Wham documentary, the Netflix Wham documentary.
Number 6 is Transformers: Rise of the Beast.
It's not as good as Bumblebee, but it is better than the other ones that Michael Bay directed.
The Little Mermaid is at 5.
Worth it just for how much it's annoyed the idiots. So yeah, good.
And number 4 is Asteroid City. So now here's an email from, just trying to scroll down with my Danish government computer. Evie Harker Shaw has sent in an email. I'm just going to flannel. There we go. Okay, thoughts on Asteroid City. I've no intention of trying to change anyone's mind about this film. If anything, I'm sure that if you were to watch it again, you would take against it all the more, find it more patience-testing, more arch, more full of itself. Rather, I'd like to say that you and I, and this here is a reference to you, Mark, saw different films. The film I saw was charming, funny, poignant, and beautiful. I know that Asteroid City looks like all Anderson's films, and so it is difficult to argue that the aesthetic adds much substance. How can a style that's persistent and unwavering also be particular or illuminating? How can a compulsive style be heartfelt? I don't know exactly. The same style that was relentless and tripping in Grand Budapest was here more still, more engaged, more encouraging. With a few exceptions, the cops and robber chases being the most regrettable, the look of the film was attentive, considerate, and curious, which did much to balance out its main character's emotional constipation. I found the style tailored and not just elegant, but resonant. I didn't mind the actors' studio sections as you did, but if they comprise your predominant memory of the film, I can understand your displeasure. My main memory is of 2 windows facing each other from 2 cabins. I remember the 2 people talking between those windows. I liked listening to those people. I remember a Chanel bottle. I remember Scarlett being excellent. Elsewhere, I also remember having new fluttering feelings for Adrian Brody. I remember Maya Hawke's foot tapped back when Rupert Friend appeared stage right. I remember 3 daughters, a vampire, a witch, and a fairy. Many of these things feel incidental, some of them certainly incidental. But this is a film where incidental is important, and I found it delightful, says Evie Harker Shaw.
And, you're not alone. There's an awful lot of people who like Asteroid City very much. And as I think I said at the time, if you are a Wes Anderson fan, it's the most Wes Anderson film that he's ever made. And, and it's entirely possible that you'll love it. There's this kind of strange thing around this, which is that, in a way, the movie is kind of quite Marmite. I know many people who love it, and I know many people who really don't like it very much. And I'm in the latter camp. Well, I think it's well crafted and it's very Andersonian. The thing I don't quite get is this is absolutely not in that email, because that email was tonally very beautiful and measured and very well argued. There is a certain chippiness among Wes Anderson fans to people who haven't liked Asteroid City, because the film has proved kind of somewhat divisive. I mean, I think when it was French Dispatch, it was a slightly different matter. But Yeah, I mean, it's, the film reminded me of Mars Attacks, which I liked a lot more. And there's my favorite bit in Mars Attacks is when Jack Nicholson, as whatever it is, president of, wherever, America or the world, I can't remember, says, little people, can't we all just get along? And I kind of feel it's an odd film to be irate about. I suppose that's the thing. But yeah, many Wes Anderson fans love it, and that's a good thing. If if you're a Wes Anderson fan, you know what you're going to get. I have loved some Wes Anderson movies. I have not loved some other ones, But hey, little people, can't we all just get along?
Number 3 is No Hard Feelings. So an email here from David Thompson. While I completely understand how some may see the premise and casting of the film as weird and disgusting, I feel the film is very open about what's going on in the trailer and the many posters I've seen around. I've grown up laughing my way through gross-out films such as American Pie, Road Trip, The Interview, and Long Shot, can appreciate them for what they are. I agree and are obviously happy that times have changed in society in terms of what's appropriate and not appropriate in the workplace and in general conversation. However, on a movie screen, when watching a film where you've had the opportunity to see the trailer and research what you're getting yourself into, I must protest. Excuse me. Are these films masterpieces? Absolutely not. Are they funny to a certain audience? Yes. And what's more, not a multiverse in sight. I actually found the movie to be much sweeter than I originally expected it to be and would recommend it to a wider audience than I originally thought. On the troublesome scale, it's nowhere near Nymphomaniac or even Rushmore in terms of what the leads are portraying. And I'd love to hear why Mark found this troubling and last year's Licorice Pizza, a film which is tonally different but has a much more troubling age gap, to be totally fine. Anyway, tinkety tonk, up with blue hair and down with orange-faced toilet readers. David Thompson.
Well,
on No Hard Feelings.
Yes. I mean, we discussed the Licorice Pizza thing a lot.
We did.
And the general feeling was that there isn't actually a right or wrong answer to that, because some people, I mean, I absolutely love that film, but there are people who object to it for very good and very well expressed reasons, and that is perfectly fine. I think the problem with No Hard Feelings isn't that I find it objectionable. I think the problem is it's tonally all over the place. Now, in terms of the way it's sold, there actually has been a little bit of controversy about whether or not the trailer, I mean, there's more than one trailer, but whether or not the trailer sort of selling it as a gross out comedy was doing it an injustice. And there was a kind of debate about exactly what the trailer should attempt to be selling. I still think that the main problem with it is that the two leads appear to be in different films. One of them appears to be in a film about an independent, free-spirited young woman who knows what she wants, and and then the other one appears to be a completely caricatured figure who seems to have walked out of a movie like Revenge of the Nerds. And I think that was, also, as I said, it nods towards Ferris Bueller, and it obviously takes riffs from Risky Business, which are films that are just, that some people like them, some people don't. I don't think the problem with No Hard Feelings is. I mean, I felt awkward all the way through. I felt uncomfortable all the way through it. But the tagline is pretty awkward. I found it was pretty awkward. It has gone in at number 3, which is for an original comedy, is a solid showing. So it's done fine and great. If you saw it and you enjoyed it, that's really good. It just didn't work for me.
The Flash is at number 2.
I mean, The Flash, I imagine that an awful lot of people who see The Flash feel the same way as I think both you and I did, which is there are things in it that are fun. There are things, I mean, I actually like Michael Keaton's performance as the washed up Batman. I think that works well. It does turn into smashy bashy crashy. There are some unforgivably shonky visual effects in it. And, again, we're in the same position that's at number 2, and at number 1 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And if you look at what those, sorry to steal your thunder on that, but if you look at those two movies back to back, one of them is a multiverse movie that makes the multiverse exciting and interesting, and another is a multiverse movie that I think makes it exhausting and exasperating.
And thank you for the correspondence about Shonky VFX, which we will get to. We haven't got time to get to it at the moment, but we will get to it at some stage. Thank you very much for the emails to correspondence@kermodeandmayo.com. Back in a moment, Mark has spoken to James Mangold's Indiana Jones conversation after this.
Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. While you're here, check out all the other videos because they're cool too, aren't they?
Yeah, and if you want to keep up to date with everything Kermode and Mayo's Take, then check out our social channels.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
I mean, I would. I have done.
Excellent.